Continues to this day. They've attacked us on every front imaginable.
Film producer B.J. Davis is warning us about the Internal Revenue Service. He has seen firsthand how they target and destroy people they don't like.
My wife, Julia Davis, was a former Customs and Border Protection officer, and her serving as an acting supervisor during a national heightened security alert, she discovered the illegal entry of 23 suspects from special interest countries, those countries aligned with terrorist activities. And on the 4th of July 2004, she went through protocol in reporting that breach of national security, and as a result of that, we became enemy of the state.
This sounds like the old Soviet Union. What happens in America when you are declared an enemy of the state? BJ was making a movie and suddenly things started to go wrong.
We were just moving forward in making secular commercial movies with Burt Reynolds, Raquel Welch, and Robert Loggia. And at that time, we began to realize that the Department of Homeland Security was probing into our business and into our finances in concurrent with trying to discredit Julia and to attack us both personally and professionally.
When checks started bouncing, they realized something was terribly wrong.
They began to seize our commercial and personal bank accounts.
Without any notification, just seize them.
With no notification, no written opportunity to object to it, or any legal process.
Naturally, BJ promptly contacted his bank to discover what had happened to their money.
We found it in just the course of processing it, and then the bank tried to distance themselves and disavow any association with it other than just the IRS had taken this action, and we had no recourse, or the bank had no responsibility to assist us.
Wow. So what did you do?
Well, we fell back at that point. When you can't access your finances, then we had to call on other sources and try to lawyer up.
But lawyers cost money. What do you do when the IRS has seized all of your money? BJ was facing huge and outrageous claims of overdue taxes.
The IRS levied us and alleged that we owed them $1.5 million in back taxes, which we certainly did not. And all of the evidence and information that we had in our possession and as we proceeded showed that that was complete material and financial misrepresentation.
Had you ever had problems with the IRS previously?
Never.
Wow. So what happened? What was the impact on you when the money was taken?
Well, we had to close down the production and the company as it was at that time, and we began to immediately contact or attempt to contact the IRS to notify them that this was illegal, unconstitutional, and no grounds for this kind of actions to be taken against us. And as things began to develop and we proceeded in the litigation, as Julia defended ourselves from the allegations by the Customs and Border Protection and Department of Homeland Security, we began to find in discovery that the daily diaries of Herbert Kaufer and Jeffrey Deal, they had made notations to contact the IRS and to attack us on every front available. The IRS, all of my Producers Guild, the Directors Guild, Screen Actors Guild. So they had exhausted all of their resources and manpower to close us down and attack us both personally and professionally.
According to BJ, Herbert Kaufer and Jeffrey Deal were the Customs and Border Security agents who were assigned to the task of discrediting or destroying Julia Davis for being a whistleblower. As part of discovery in his legal fight defending Julia, BJ got access to their detailed reports.
We have their handwritten daily diaries, and they even named one agent specifically to enlist, but not limited to, just her exclusively, was Angie Ortinez, and she is a criminal investigative agent for the IRS.
The IRS was enlisted by Kaufer and Deal when BJ started turning up the tide against the government. BJ started winning in court, and that wasn't supposed to happen.
Was after our being maliciously and selectively prosecuted and subsequently found to be factually innocent, and that the prosecutions, federal and state, were malicious in intent and retaliatory. Then after that we began our litigation against the Department of Homeland Security.
I see. And At what point did the IRS ever get involved in this litigation?
They waited until after the settlement and then to seize our bank accounts.
Wow, that seems like retaliation.
It's pure and simple.
How many times has the IRS taken your money from the account?
Wow, Leslie, it's been ongoing over the years. It's like when we premiered Julia's documentary, Top Priority, The Terror Within, at the Academy of Television and Arts in May 2012. They seized it that same day. They have a tendency to seize the bank accounts on your birthday or Christmas, Hanukkah, any festive time of year. They want to dampen that for you, and that's the way they do business. They were relentless in their pursuit of us, and it was staggering and stunning, because you would think, how could this happen? Actually, the Department of Homeland Security, when we sued them, rather than go to trial by jury because of the egregious nature and the magnitude of taxpayer dollars that were wasted to persecute and prosecute Julia and then myself, they wanted to settle. So in our sense of justice and fair play, we settled, and after we settled, they seized our bank account.
No wonder the government settled. They knew they were getting their money back in just a matter of minutes. When was the last time they cleaned out your bank account?
The last time they cleaned out one of my personal account was like 3 months ago with the Screen Actors Guild, and you know, it's just it's amazing the avenues that they take. And Julie, I think the last time was Christmas.
Not only is the IRS malicious, but armed and dangerous. Just last Thursday, South Carolina Congressman Jeff Duncan, as chairman of the House Homeland Security Oversight Subcommittee, encountered IRS agents training with AR-15 rifles at a federal law enforcement facility. These are the same firearms that gun prohibitionists refer to as assault weapons, which they claim only belong on a battlefield. It makes one wonder why the IRS needs military-style weapons to collect taxes. The IRS attacks on BJ weren't limited to just his family.
We had attorneys that handled Julia's EEOC case where she prevailed. They were audited. We had another group of attorneys that handled the contrived and false criminal charges against us where we prevailed and were found factually innocent. I don't know how they were harassed and harangued by the IRS, but our other group of attorneys that were associated with the representation of whistleblower Aaron Brockovich, they were audited. So our doctors, our lawyers, and different people have been abused by the IRS.
Julia Davis concurs. Anybody who is critical of the government is targeted.
Another whistleblower, also from the Department of Homeland Security, who was in the film Please Remove Your Shoes, I believe was the name of it, and his name is Jeffrey Phillip Black. On the day that premiered, he got a knock at the door, and he was confronted with IRS agents, and his accounts were also levied. Another prominent whistleblower, Anthony Schaefer, who was with the Department of Defense, who blew the whistle on 9/11 related crimes. He was also audited and continues to be audited by the IRS. So I think the point that it's not just the Tea Party or not just the whistleblowers that are dealing with it. I think that what we're seeing is that the IRS is being used as a tool to attack anyone who is exposing government corruption in any way, shape, or form, or who is simply an inconvenient, outspoken patriot that is being used as a tool to silence them.
BJ attempted to use all of the means available to a peaceful, lawful American citizen to stop the harassment.
We tried to contact President Obama, and we also contacted Timothy Geithner, head of U.S. Treasury, to advise them of these atrocities and illegalities. Ignored. Everyone's ignored. If you go to your senators like Feinstein or Boxer or John McCain, they give you a form letter saying, thank you for your letter of concern, and we referred it back to the very perpetrators engaged. So you really have nowhere to go because they report it back to the very entity violating you, whether it be the IRS or the Department of Homeland Security.
So you take the government to court. Sometimes you can even win. But then what?
You can litigate and prevail by an act of God against certain government agencies, but ultimately their silver bullet to get you or to compromise you, or what they would hope to be a compromise or the ability to defend yourself or proceed with further litigation, is the IRS.
The IRS is a weapon of the government to silence and intimidate anyone who is effectively critical of any of its agencies. Amazingly, BJ has not been deterred.
Our response is to continue to expose the corruption and continue to deal with the IRS in the capacity that we can. We never know if, because they habitually, continually seize our bank accounts, we try to protect ourselves as best we can. But it's really no way you can defend yourself from that kind of attack.
But perhaps the tables have turned. Perhaps the IRS has become so heavy-handed that they have irritated far too many people, that finally their harassment policies are now becoming known.
I think now it's become a marquee headline for all Americans across the country, where the IRS has been outed, that the egregious actions that the IRS takes, primarily, whether it be Republican or Democrat, that they have these agendas and actions to take against U.S. citizens and certainly whistleblowers.
BJ is standing firm that he is an innocent victim of an out-of-control government which is using a variety of its agencies to ruin a citizen who is critical of their policies.
Our position is we don't owe any tax to the IRS, and that they have selectively and maliciously targeted us as part of an ongoing series of retaliation, because the formula is the same, whether it's the IRS or Homeland Security or FBI. The response to those people deemed to be whistleblowers, and now more prevalent in the headlines, just U.S. citizens are being targeted. But the formula of misconduct is the same. It's to deny, discredit, and destroy them by whatever means available.
This is America, a representative republic. We, the people, are supposed to be in charge of our government. So who can we, as citizens, who can we hold responsible for these outrages? We ask him.
You know, we'd start at the top. Doug Shulman, you know, you have Lois Lerner, who was just before Congress. They, as acting heads or commissioners of those agencies, even Geithner, I mean, these guys cannot know this is not going on. Recent evidence shows Holder and even Obama were aware of these actions that were being targeted against U.S. citizens. And so it's a really, I think it's a cancer that, and it's a daily practice that they use illegally and unconstitutionally, for sure.
So what can we do? Band together, work together.
I would wish that we, the people, would rally together with a common bond, with one vote, one voice, to change and save our great nation.
There are many groups forming, calling for greater accountability on the part of the IRS. In fact, on Wednesday, June 19th, there's going to be a rally in Washington, D.C. called Audit the IRS. We here at Full Disclosure will be presenting the full-hour program with BJ and Julia Davis, with supporting documentation that will be updated for you to see as it comes in. We want to know what you, the viewers, think. Please leave your comments below. Do you support Texas Senator Ted Cruz's call to disband and abolish the IRS? Do you support replacing the current progressive tax with a flat tax? Please be sure to leave your comments below. I'm Leslie Dutton. Thank you.